Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to dive straight into this. We are talking mental health. We are talking depression in this video, and this is going to challenge a lot of people, and it's going to trigger a lot of people too as well. And just something, if you're new to my content, my name is Lewis Huckstep, and I am a self-proclaimed mind mechanic. Just a term I came up with. Just I don't resonate so much with therapists. I don't resonate too much with psychologists. I really resonate with helping people work through their traumas, their perceptions, and helping uncover what it is that they're missing to have their breakthrough. So we're going to be going through depression today, and I'm going to be really real and honest and transparent. I'm going to be pretty direct today as well. So if you get triggered, whenever you get triggered, being triggered is showing or revealing a part of yourself that you haven't learnt to love. And that really stuck by me. I'm going to be referencing two incredible teachers today in this video, Dr. John Demartini and Dr. Joe Dispenza. Incredible teachers. I'd highly recommend going down their content and diving into their stuff. But huge in terms of my learning and my teachings is their work and their studies and their research, and it's incredible. But if I trigger you guys, it's a good thing. It's triggering you, it's challenging you, it's showing you parts of yourself that you haven't learned to accept yet. And whatever triggers you the most heals you the most. So with that being said, I hope I trigger you. I hope I heal you today. So let's go through it, guys. We're gonna go through depression. You need an open mind for this video. If you're looking to just attack and get angry and get frustrated at someone, by all means go for it. But I will be sharing pretty transparent answers here today. So let's go through depression. So I have helped people through depression, suicidal, so many traumas and sexual, physical, mental abuse situations. And what I'm about to teach is consistent through every single one of them, plus all the teachings that I've done through those two teachers that I mentioned earlier. And just maybe the context before that as well, guys, is I've experienced depression. I've gone through it myself. I've had family members attempt suicide multiple times before. I've got friends and family who've been on antidepressants for 5-10 years. I've had friends take their own life during high school growing up. I've been really around this industry, if you want to call it an industry. I've been around this scene for a long time, and I've been able to help so many people through this. I've worked through what I'll go through today, step 2. I've gone through this process with people that have been raped, sexually, mentally, physically abused, any form of life, walk of life that you've ever heard of. This applies. And the only people that it doesn't are the people who aren't willing to open up their brain, open up their mind, to open up their heart and hold themselves accountable. So if you're willing to do that today with me, let's have some fun. Let's go through it. And one more context before I get into it. Whenever I work with a client, whenever you work with any client, it is not one size fits all. Some people, depending on their experience, their background, their beliefs, and what they've been through, will change or transform really well through one tool, but not someone else might not do the same thing. So whenever I teach something, it's not like this is the be all and end all. There's a million ways you can help people. There's a million ways you can help people through depression, mental health, etc. But combined together, where you've got like a toolkit, being able to work through it with people is where I really see the value. So I'm going to share 3 things on how I work with people to help them with their mental health, their depression, and how I've been able to help people through it and get people off antidepressants, medications, etc. So let's go through it. First thing, whenever I work with someone, the first thing I'm looking to do is I'm looking to make sure that they authentically know who they are. Now, I was just checking my mic was working. Now, when I do that with people, it's getting clear on their life priorities. What are their values? And this is from Dr. John Demartini. It's like, what are your life values? What are your life priorities? And if you're not, I ask people this question: what's the opposite of depression? Some people might say happiness, love, joy, excitement. I say no. What's the opposite of the word itself? Depression. What is the opposite of depression? Expression. And I then go on to explain and teach. I say, great. So if you're not expressing who you are, you're suppressing who you are. which then depresses yourself. You beat yourself up, you lower your self-worth, and the flow-on effect goes from there. So I really look at, how do I help this person figure out and discover who they truly are? Because if you are not expressing who you are suppressing who you are, which will depress yourself, lower your self-worth. So, but to do that, you need to know who you are, because you can't be who you are if you don't know who you are. And a lot of people, because of society, their family, their parents, their friendships, social media, is they're trying to be someone who they're not. They're wearing a mask, they're wearing a persona, they're trying to impress people with things that they don't fucking really care about. So I first of all strip that away. Is I get them really transparent on the authentic version of them. What are their values? What do they love? What intrinsically inspires this person? And then make sure that they're actually doing those things. Let's use an example. Say your family, say your career, and say your relationship. Say they were your top 3 values. And there's a process that I take people through to determine that. And it works every single time. But say those were your values. So family, career, and relationship. Say your family life was shit. It was terrible. It was arguments in the family. They weren't talking to each other. And it was just a really bad situation. It wasn't a good situation. Say that was happening. Say your career was turning to shit. You weren't progressing, or you're stagnant, or you even lost your job. And 3, your relationship is on the rocks and you're about to have a divorce and you're about to break up with your partner. If those are your top 3 values and that's what's happening to you, how do you think you're going to feel? You're going to feel horrible. You're going to feel sad. You're going to feel down. You're going to feel frustrated. You're going to feel stressed. You're going to feel all of the above. That's what you're going to feel, because you're not expressing your vulnerable, authentic self. So that is the first thing, is figure out who you are and make sure you're doing that. Stop wearing a mask. Stop trying to be someone who you're not, and just be who you are. So that's the first thing that I work with. Second step is this is quite a hard one to teach. It's a lot easier in person when you can actually talk to someone and use examples with them. But from a molecule level, if I can speak English, from a molecule level, in a physics sense, from a biological sense, from a human interaction sense, there's always as many positives, charges in the universe, as there are negatives. If you go down to the proton and electron level of the world, there is as many negative charges as there are positive charges. And as human beings, our body is naturally seeking homeostasis. It's seeking balance. Now, I normally show a diagram of a pendulum here, but I won't do it on this video. I'll do it on another video. Is if you only see downside to something, that means you're oblivious to the upside. And vice versa. If you're only conscious of the upside, you're oblivious of the downside. So what I teach people is, how do you see the full picture? It's like, picture when you first had a crush on someone, or you were very infatuated by someone. They were so beautiful. They didn't walk across the ground. They glided across the ground. They were amazing, beautiful, elegant, sexy, intelligent. Like, you only saw the upsides. You weren't conscious of the downsides. It's like when you are really angry and frustrated and pissed off at someone and you have an argument with someone, you only see the downsides or all the bad things that they've done. They have upsides, but when you're in that state and all you're seeing is downside, you're not seeing the upside. So why I share that for this context is, I know this is the hardest part for most people, and people will disagree, argue, fight back against this, but there are positives to everything in life. I have gone through this process with people that have been sexually abused, mentally abused, physically abused. I did this recently for a lady who was sexually abused about 3 months prior to having this session with me, and we came up with 48 benefits of that sexual abuse that she went through. The lessons that she learned, the boundaries that she set, the standards that she sets for herself, not getting herself into that toxic crowd ever again, not to, etc., etc. There were benefits to it. However, if you're not looking for them and you're not conscious of it and you only see one side, then you've got a lopsided perception and you're going to be triggered more easily. It's like where depression, I guess, stems from, is when you've got an expectation that is not met. Whether it's a person, event, anything in life. Say, for example, your partner leaves you. They break up with you. yeah, you had an expectation that you're going to be together forever, you're going to happy families, get married, have kids and all that stuff, and they break up with you. Because that didn't live up to your expectation, you have disappointment, you have sadness, you have frustration, you have upset, you have all those negative emotions. And then if you fire and wire them enough, which I'll go into the third point soon, is then you start to live there. And with enough frequency and enough intensity, that feeling of frustration, stress, anger, overwhelm, sadness, whatever you're feeling, transmutes and changes and transforms itself into depression because you're living there. And then every time you think, and there's a thinking feeling cycle that human beings have. It's whenever it's like, picture a painful event right now. Right now, picture a painful event. As soon as you think of it, you feel the same emotions that you felt back when you first did it. And when you feel it, you think of it more. And then when you think of it more, you feel it more. So it's a thinking, feeling loop. The more you think, the more you feel, the more you feel, and the more you think, and you go through it and through it. So then every time that you're reminded or you think about that same event where your expectations were not met and you feel down and you feel sad, you're triggering and firing the same emotions that you felt when it first happened. And over time, it becomes a habit, which ties into step number 3, is you need to retrain your habits. Because humans, we get addicted by emotions. It's why smartphones are so addictive. You get that hit of dopamine every time you get a notification or you get your phone vibrates. It's like, it's literally getting addicted to those chemicals. And you get addicted to ones even if they're not positive. If you're living in depression or in sadness or in frustration or in overwhelm or in anger, if you're living there, it becomes a habit and you become addicted to it. Picture this. Do you know someone who no matter what happens, they're always negative? Whether it be stressed or anger or overwhelm or upset or sadness or depression. And on the other side, do you know someone who no matter what happens, they're happy, they're grateful, they're excited, they're joyful, they're loving? Because by firing and wiring those same pathways or those thinking, feeling loops, you do it enough and enough, you wire that emotion and that neuro pathway stronger and stronger, so it becomes easier to fire. But the beautiful part, Neuroplasticity 101, is you can rewrite anything. You can undo any damage. You can create anything if you're prepared to put the work in. So the third part of my 3 steps for today is to consciously decide to reprogram and rewrite those other pathways of feeling confident, feeling loved, feeling appreciated, feeling giving, feeling grateful. Start to practice those emotions consciously. How do you do that? Best way I know is meditation. Meditation is not just sitting down and trying not to think about anything, because that's what most people think it is. To a degree, there is a version of meditation that does do that, but it's about not letting any thought cross your mind unchecked. Be conscious of every thought. Why are you thinking that? What does that mean to you? What's the benefit of that? What's that teaching you? How is that serving you? And how do I want to feel? And this is something that I've really learned recently from Joe Dispenza himself, is you can decide to feel any emotion that you want now, and over enough repetition, enough intensity, frequency, you will create the habit. You will wire that pathway, and the rule of if you don't use it, you lose it, by not firing that old pathway of anger, stress, depression, overwhelm, by not doing that, then you start to form the habit of being happy, being loved, being excited, being joyful, being whatever it is that you want. But that takes time and it takes hard work. And the thing is, from everything I've said today, most people aren't willing to accept it. Some people are. If you've made it this far to this video, I applaud you, because you're probably one of the few people that are open to learn and to grow and to prosper. But most people aren't. Most people are victims. Most people blame. Most people don't take accountability. Most people just aren't prepared to put the fucking work in. But if you are committed and you're prepared to work on you, then it's possible. How can people who've been through the most traumatic fucking things that you could ever picture turn out to be some of the best fucking people that have ever lived? I like using Oprah Winfrey's story because most people know who she is. Oprah Winfrey, if you don't know her story, she was born to a 14-year-old mum, just to get started. Then she was in foster care throughout her childhood. Parents left her. She was sexually abused a dozen times from family members and close friends of the family back then. And she fell pregnant through one of those abuses, and she gave birth to a stillborn child at the age of 14. And look who she became. And she had a world of other challenges. She was fired from jobs for being overweight, for the color of her skin. That were issues back then when she was growing up. Still is to this day, to be honest. But that's what she went through, and that's what she's done. Did she use her past as an excuse? Did she live in the past? Did she just keep firing and wiring and living in that emotional state? No. And neither do you. But unless you're willing to put the work in, hold yourself accountable, and fucking want it, then you're just going to stay where you are. And again, I said from the start of this video, I'm going to be really upfront. I'm going to be direct. I'm going to be transparent here. But I've been able to do this with so many people over the years. This shit works. There's literally a method in the book. A good book I'd recommend is called The Breakthrough Experience of Dr. John Demartini. And he teaches how to literally resolve any lopsided perception that you have, any judgment that you have on anyone or anything in life. There's a method. There's a formula of how to fix that. And it's in a book. It's a $20 book. Go get the book and read the book. But most people aren't willing to do that. They're not willing to open their mind. But that's my tips for today. And again, there's more tips out there. There's more solutions out there for helping people in these areas. But those are the three that I generally use when it comes to helping clients through mental health challenges or through any issues they're going through. Is number one, get them clear on who they authentically are so they can express the real version of them and stop suppressing themselves. I teach them balance and how to really see the up and downsides of everything, because there is, even if it's hard to see, it's always there. And then third thing, just start to reprogram the habit of being down, sad, upset, reprogramming and recreating that habit for an empowering feeling and emotion. Hope that helped. If you got value from this, guys, I really would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to have you subscribe as well. I'd love you to like the video, and I'd love for you to share this with someone. Send this to someone who you think might find some value from it. I appreciate all the love and support. Thank you for everything. If you're interested in working with me, guys, I have programs online that will change your fucking life, and I have my hand on heart when I say that. Have an incredible day. Thank you for viewing the video. Thank you for supporting, and I'll see you on the next video.